Hey everyone, I'm John Namchi, founder of SIMVO, and today I'm going to demonstrate the true power of artificial intelligence in the context of building in the future of today. It's really amazing how the tools we have available to us can 10x our productivity and make us so much more effective in this day and age. And we're going to show that by building a simple weather app dashboard in as quick as possible. We're going to be using Claude AI as our AI tool, or Claude Code, Vercel to deploy our changes online. And we're going to use the Open Weather Map API to get our weather data so that we can create an entire user experience. The amazing thing is I don't even need to type on the keyboard anymore with voice to text tools like Whisper. So that's what I'm going to use. And as you can see, I have my repository ready to go. So that's what we're going to use to make our changes. So we're just going to build a simple weather dashboard for people to look up the weather in different areas and maybe add some nice user experience elements to it. But the amazing thing is I think it's going to take us relatively quickly to do. So let's get started. So firstly, I'm just going to start up my Claude Code program. And okay, it's ready to listen. And then I'm going to be using Whisper to register all my voice commands, and that'll be transformed to text. So hopefully I don't need to lift a finger this entire time. So first thing we're going to do is when we're building an app, right, we want to get the data flow working first. So that means we're going to need to understand how we can call different elements of this weather API and get the different data we need. Thankfully, if you understand these fundamentals, all we really need to do is tell Claude that we're using the Open Weather Map API and to generate us some routes that can lead us to a good weather dashboard. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, hey Claude, I want to make a weather dashboard app for users, and I'm going to be using the Open Weather Map API. Can you make me a API backend that's Vercel compatible, so that we can start running the data flows? And here's my API key as well for it. So should have registered everything. Okay, great. And then I'm just going to give it the API key and I press enter, and it's probably going to take a few minutes to set up the backend. So while it's looking through our project and starting to create things, one thing I like to say is I'm right here sitting outside in the desert here in Joshua Tree. And the amazing thing is we can work from anywhere. We can be anywhere we'd like as long as we have an internet connection. We can leverage these tools to be extremely effective. So now it's making changes. It's adding environment files. Cool, it's set up my weather API key, and now it's creating the backend server. So a backend server is basically a piece of running software that can listen for different people to send requests to. And that's usually the basis of most applications. Applications will send requests to backend APIs, and we get back the data. And then usually we display the data on the front end, which is usually a website or an app. And that creates the whole user experience. So right now we're just setting up the first part, which is the data gathering element, which is gathering the server. It's not just creating a whole bunch of different things. Okay, it's also creating a README just for some documentation. Let's see what it's created in this server.js. Okay, there's weather current, weather forecast, searching for the weather, weather history. Okay, so now it says it's up and running. So let's try and send requests now to this local host. So the server is now running on my own computer. Let's go ahead and just paste that. Okay, the site can't be reached, so I think the server is not on. So I'm going to say, I don't think the server is on. Can you start running it for me? Okay. So it started the server, and it's just debugging now, going through the errors. And once the server is up and running, we should be able to use our browser to make requests to each of these routes, and we should get different data. And as long as these requests work and we're able to confirm we get data back, then we've pretty much done the backend, and we can start doing the front end user interface changes that will actually display all this data for us. Okay, I think now with this npm start, it's gonna start running. All right, great. The server is running. So if I refresh this now, It says my API key is invalid. Okay, so I'm getting a response that my API key is invalid. Okay, so it's using the wrong API. So you're using the wrong API. The correct one is open weather map. Okay, so hopefully it just needs to change the actual URL and not much of the rest of the code. It's just going to rewrite this server code now to do that. Okay, that looks good. We can see they're changing it now to the open weather map. And what's nice about working like this is we can be in any kind of relaxing environment and don't need to strain ourselves too much. As long as we understand the fundamentals of what's going on, we can pretty much work with our AI to get it to build the app we like. And a lot of the time, people just kind of hope and pray and do whatever the AI tells them. You'll end up with a lot of spaghetti code, huge code bases, and you also won't know what you're doing. So this is just a great example of why fundamental understanding is so crucial to really accelerate your ability to work with AI. So I think after this now, our backend is ready. And there we go. We send a request to our server, it's running, and we get back this data. So we asked for the weather in London, and we're getting back all this different stuff, right? We got the wind speed, the clouds visibility, the temperature. So we have everything we need to at least look at the weather of a certain city. Why don't I check Palm Springs? I don't know if this is going to work. It does. That's where I am right now. And yeah, temperature is about 27. It should be clear sky. It says clear sky. As you can see, the sky is clear. So I think we're good with that route. So I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to ask it to make sure that all the routes that it has set up work correctly. Can you test all the routes yourself and make sure they return data as expected? Once we're done that, then we can start deploying this to Vercel. Okay. So it's trying out all the different routes. So basically each of the different routes that you see here, API weather forecast, API weather current, weather one call, weather search, all of these things provide different kind of weather data for different workflows. And they all should be returning data like we saw here, just different kinds of data depending on what we're requesting from our API. And once we've tested all of them, then we should be good to first commit our changes. All right, so there's quite a few routes, but I believe everything is working as expected. It hasn't triggered any errors, so I think all of our route requests are working properly. Yep, all endpoints are working correctly. Now let's prepare the project for Vercel deployment. Okay, here you may need to know a little bit about Vercel, but all it is just a platform that allows you to deploy servers that you're developing on to an internet-ready server in a data center managed by Vercel somewhere. And that gets this server running somewhere on the internet so that I'll be able to change the URL here and anybody can use this workflow and get this data. So it's setting everything up for me. Okay, so now it's telling me I should be able to push my changes. So I'm just going to push everything. I'm going to say completed backend API. Let's commit and push those changes. Great, those are pushed to my GitHub repository. Now when I refresh, all those changes are there, which is great. So now let's go on to Vercel. And let's create a new project, and we're importing. And I wonder what framework preset I should use. What framework preset do I need to use when creating the app on the Vercel dashboard? Okay, so it says I don't need any preset. Okay. And environment variables. Okay, we need to add these environment variables. So the key is weather API key, and then this is my API key. Okay, looks like that's all I need. All right. Okay, so I'm getting this error. Let's see what Claude Code can tell me. Okay. All right, we'll push this. All right. So we're running that, create the environment variable. All right, so it's starting to deploy. All right, now while this starts to deploy, we might as well start working on the front end. So let's start working on the front end now. I just want a single dashboard page that uses all of the routes that we've created for all the different data gathering workflows we have. Create whichever project is easiest, either with React or Vue, whichever one's easiest to integrate into our already deployed Vercel app. Okay, so now this is going to start building the whole front end part now that's going to be using all of our stuff. So let's continue to our dashboard. All right. So that endpoint is not found, but what if we copy this /API? There we go. Now we're getting our data from our Vercel server. Perfect. Right, so all I did to test it out was, right, this is the route where the data is gathered for that particular workflow. This is the server that's running on my computer that's running here. So I'm going to let that do everything. And then this here is the location of the server that's deployed with Vercel that we did here. So that's why I can just paste that here and we should be getting our stuff, which we do, which is great. So now we just need to build the front end and, okay, look, we have a client here that's running. So that's probably where all of our code is. I wonder what type of, okay, so we're using React. All right, it's a good framework to use to build our web app. So again, while that's running, remember I said all the data workflow is now saved. And what's going to happen now is this here is going to generate front-end code that's going to create a user interface website. And then when we press buttons on that user interface, it's going to run the exact same requests like we do see here and get back the data and then display this on the front end. All right, what I really like about using AI2 is I don't need to worry about doing all of this stuff because it's kind of tedious. What I'd prefer is to have it create this code and then have myself review it. For the purposes of this video, I'm not really going to review this code that much. We're just going to make sure that the user experience matches what we're looking for. Now, while this is building, you can go ahead and search this up in your own phone or on your computer at home. I guarantee you will get back data looking exactly like this for wherever you are. Let's see what the weather is like in Montreal, which is my hometown. And it's cold, yep. Because we are in October, it's getting to fall, winter time there, which makes sense. Now, while it may seem like a lot of random stuff is happening, by and large, I know exactly what's going on at the high level. And it's just building this project, or at least the front end part of the project, because there's a number of components that need to come in for us to be able to deliver a more complex user experience. That's why it's using a framework like React instead of just vanilla HTML. And this really stresses the importance of having a fundamental understanding over the details or memorizing things and whatnot, because once you have that fundamental base, you can pretty much take this in any direction that you can, and you can operate with control and grace, as we're doing here, pretty much telling it to proceed with everything, because I don't see any reason or any issue that it's really showing that's glaring. I know it's just building the project right now, so I'm not stressed. I'm relaxed. I'm out here. It's really nice weather right now in Joshua Tree, and there's beautiful scenery all around me. And because I know what I'm doing too, I'm really enjoying this experience for sure. Okay, so our React front end is now running. Okay, let's go ahead and test it. Okay, it's also writing some documentation. I guess we don't really need that if we want to save time, but it's okay. We'll let it do it. Okay, let's start it up. Can you start up our React front end so that I can test it out? All right, our React front end is running on localhost. Let's go ahead and press enter. And cool, look at this. We have our dashboard with all the different items in there. Okay, why don't we search for Joshua Tree, where I am. Yep, and there we go. This is exactly right. 20 degrees, clear sky, and okay, it's decent. Why don't we ask it to make it nicer? So what I'm gonna do is, instead of telling things, specifically, it's already pretty decent. So all I'm gonna say is that, firstly, it's not covering the whole width, right, of the screen. It looks good, but it's not covering the whole width of the screen. So can you fix that? Okay, and then before I do anything, I'm just gonna go on design styles, or UX design styles. And okay, let's check out different set of UI design trends to see which one we like. Okay, so there's neo-brutalism. That looks pretty interesting. We got the Bauhaus. Also looks pretty cool. New morphism, interesting. Retrofuturism is a bit too dark. Cyberpunk, not that interested. Glassomorphism is cool. So why don't we use the glassomorphism style? So all I'm gonna say is, and change the whole design so it adopts a glassomorphism style. And I'm gonna say, but keep everything in the same place they are right now, because it's really good. All right, hopefully this will be my last prompt to our AI. You can probably hear the breeze in my microphone, which is really a nice sensation while you watch your AI do its thing. Feels nice to just sit back, relax, enjoy the sun, the breeze. This is what working should really feel like in this modern day and age, at least building some kind of tech. Now, there will obviously be times where you need to hunker down and concentrate and work in a more traditional sense, but there's so many more opportunities now to work in this kind of setting. And that's what makes technology, AI, and just the modern day such a privilege to be alive during this time. I hope this video gives you some inspiration to start taking on these skills for yourself so that you can build things that you love to do as well. So, all right, looks like it's updated everything. They've added glassomorphism effects. So where is our, okay, that's a lot better. Amazing. So search, yep, there we go. It looks great. So I think one last thing I'll do, which I don't really need to, but I think it would be nice that we change the background according to what the weather is like. So if it's sunny and orange like it is here, we can have this background look orange too. So why don't we ask it that? Can you just add one last user experience feature, which is to change the colors of the dashboard based on what the weather is in the location that the user has searched. And after this, we're going to move on to deploying, because we could go on and on with user experience features and so on. And we could have ended this video already if we wanted to. But I think adding a little user experience change would be nice. So that's what we're just trying to do here. Okay, so it's pink in Joshua Tree, which is maybe not the most ideal thing, but when it's cloudy like it is in Seattle, it's gray. So we have our current weather with the feels like humidity, wind speed, and so on, the air quality, the location details, and the 24-hour forecast. Claude Code and many AIs are extremely powerful, and this is just the beginning in 2025. There is so much more power and sophistication lying ahead. So I'm going to say I'm happy with that. So I'm going to say, okay, this is great. let's now deploy our front end. Can we use the same Vercel app to deploy both the front end and the back end that's already running? Right, so now what we're trying to do is, get these same changes here onto this URL so that we can have it delivered to users over the internet. Can you build the current React app and put that in a place where we can deploy it onto the existing app that we have? If we build it, then we have a bundle that's immediately deployable, just like with the API. So hopefully we should be able to just do that, and then that should be that. Cool, it looks like it's doing all the right stuff. Now in our public, this is where our whole React app is, which is great. All right, so now to deploy, we just need to push our changes. So let's push everything, and then now we say built and deployed front end. I'm gonna commit and push. So our GitHub repository should now have the new stuff. Yep, it does. And then in Vercel, now, all right, so I think there's just some error. Okay, I wonder what's going on. Let's check out the logs. Is my health endpoint? What's the main website? Yep, so that's what I noticed. The public folder was not committed. So now it's doing that, right? The public folder where everything is there should be there. So, all right, I think it just did that. If we refresh, okay, the public folder is there. And then now this is gonna start rerunning. It's still building. All right, and it says it's ready. And there we go. We now have our weather app deployed over the internet. So you can go to this website right now and you will get this weather app that I built in just under 40 minutes. Let's search Joshua Tree. And there we go. We got clear skies, blue skies, and Joshua Tree matching exactly what the weather dashboard looks like. And that's that. Why don't we look at Seattle? Okay, we got some purple overcast. All right, so that's a great start. And now we can go ahead and work on changing the user experience, whatnot. But as you can see, in a relatively short amount of time, we've been able to build a full-fledged application in a very enjoyable and fun experience. And we did it right here, out here in the desert, in the beautiful Joshua Tree, thanks to our AI tools, Whisper, Claude Code, and Vercel. And this is the beauty of developing in the 21st century. And there's so much more ahead in terms of people's productivity and where this is going to take us. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope you learned a lot. Definitely follow along for more developments in this area. And if you want to learn the fundamentals towards getting to the point where you can also be as effective like this and work with AI, even if you don't have a technical background, definitely follow SIMVO and join some of our courses or stay along with the videos because that's what we're all about teaching here. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one.